The Inuit are indigenous peoples who inhabit the Arctic regions of Canada, Greenland, and Alaska. Over generations, they have developed a complex belief system that revolves around their close relationship with the land, the sea, and the animals that surround them. In their mythology, the Inuit have created a diverse cast of characters, from powerful spirits to mischievous tricksters, from gentle gods to fearsome monsters. Many of these beings are closely tied to the environment and reflect Inuits' deep understanding of the natural world. Throughout this video, we will meet some of the most fascinating creatures in Inuit mythology. Number 1. Aklut. Aklut is an orca spirit from Inuit mythology who takes the form of a giant wolf or a wolf-orca hybrid when on land. He is a vicious and dangerous beast that ventured onto the land to hunt humans and other animals. Its tracks can be recognized because they are wolf tracks leading to and from the ocean, indicating that the creature is waiting for prey underwater nearby. Dogs seen walking towards or in the ocean are often considered to be one of these malevolent beasts. Little is known about this spirit other than that it can transform between an orca and/or a wolf. Number 2. Nanook. Nanook or Nanook also means polar bear in Inuktitut, which is the official language of the Inuit people, also known as Eskimos. In the Inuit religion, Nanook was the leader of the bears and punished hunters who violated taboos. He was also known to bless hunters who were worthy of his blessings. According to myth, Nanook could resemble a human due to characteristics of polar bears, such as his long fingers and ability to stand upright. This led some of the Inuit tribes to believe that they were descendants of bears. The hunters believed that Nanook was the one who would decide who would succeed. In the past, they ate the meat of the polar bear and used its fur to make warm clothing and kamiks, which are soft, comfortable boots. Hunters considered Nanook a deity, whose skin would be kept inside the igloo. If a polar bear was male, hunters offered him spirit weapons and other offerings such as knives, needle cases, and scrapers if he was female. They believed that it was necessary to kill the animal in order to obtain its souls, which they would then take with them to the afterlife. According to legend, if a polar bear was treated properly, it could share the good news with other animals so that they too would be eager to be hunted. Number 3. Igaluk. According to Inuit legend, Igaluk was a man who lived on Earth. He once forced himself on a woman in the town dance hall after the lights went out. However, after the lights came back on, he realized that she was his sister. Igaluk's sister Malina, who was very angry with him, cut off her breasts and threw them at him. Her brother then went to look for her, but she tripped and fell into the snow. His torch, which was still burning, left an ember. The wind carried them both up into the sky. Molina, who had her bright torch still burning, became the sun, while her brother, whose fading light was still visible, became the moon. The moon continued to chase his sister while she tried to avoid it. It is said that Igaluk had the characteristic features of an Inuit man before reaching the heavens and transforming into the almighty moon. Igaluk is more commonly known as Anangan. According to the indigenous peoples who inhabit the Arctic regions of Canada, Alaska, and Greenland, he is the supreme divine being who governs natural phenomena. Do you know what leaves me colder than Arctic snow? Well, many who see our videos have not subscribed. It's completely free. You hit the subscribe button and that's it. New content every week, so sign up and hit the subscribe button, and now we can continue. Number 4. Molina. Molina is a solar deity in the Inuit mythology of the Greenlandic tribes. Molina's story is closely associated with the lunar deity known as Igaluk, who is also her brother, as we have seen in the previous top. It is believed that the constant pursuit of her is the reason for the movement of the moon and the sun in the sky. Inuit mythology states that Igaluk and Molina were very close when they were young. However, they eventually drifted apart as they grew older and lived in separate houses. Igaluk realized that Molina was the most beautiful of all women and began to desire her. One night, when the lights went out, Igaluk found her and mated with her. After realizing that her brother was the one who had been responsible, she turned red and hot due to her embarrassment and anger. She ran into the sky to run away from her sister, with Igaluk right behind her. Some stories claim that Molina and her brother Igaluk had children, but the most common story among the Inuit tribes of Alaska, Canada, and Greenland is that they were constantly in conflict over Igaluk's heinous act. Molina is not described as having any explicit powers other than being the goddess of the sun. Molina hates her brother, and this is directly related to the hatred between the sun and the moon. This also affects Inuit traditions because during a solar eclipse, men cannot go out, and during a lunar eclipse, women cannot leave their houses. These two deities are known to cause illness among those who offend them. Number 5. Kalupilawit. The Kalupilawit, also known as the Kalupilawit, is a terrifying creature that inhabits the waters of the Arctic and is considered incredibly ugly and smells strongly of sulfur. In Inuit mythology, the Kalupilawit is a creature said to kidnap children who misbehave or do not listen to their parents. This is to keep children away from the water and the edge of the ice where other natural predators exist. The Kalupilawit lives underwater with thin ice and will use the shallow depth to its advantage. It does this by hitting the ice in the shallows, luring the children into the noise, and then capturing them as they cause the ice to break. Another version of this story also says that he lures children to him by humming powerfully seductive melodies in their direction, and when they get close, the creature grabs the children and runs away with them. What they do with the captured children is up for debate, but no proposed scenario is good. At worst, they eat the children to remain immortal with their nourishing youth. At best, they put them under a sleeping spell and hide them in frozen caves for eternity. Number 6. Quacks. Quacks is a term used to describe a mysterious and terrifying sea monster reported by the Inuit tribes of Alaska. The Quacks is rarely seen, but its roar can be heard from beneath the icy water. The Quacks is a giant, malicious monster in the traditions and beliefs of the Native American Tunita people of the subarctic regions of Alaska in the United States. It is similar to the snakes of European and Asian lore, and many similar creatures have been recorded in legends throughout the world's oceans. Number 7. Mahaha. If you hear an eerie giggle carried on the Arctic wind, it could mean that the terrifying Mahaha is nearby. With a menacing grin, hideous teeth, and massive sharp claws, this being sports a crooked grin as it stalks lone travelers during the winter months, impervious to the cold. Also known as the Kungalukakit, the relatively small creature is routinely depicted scantily clad and almost always barefoot, with icy blue eyes peeking out from beneath a long, tangled mane. Perhaps most notable are his elongated fingers and equally elongated fingernails, which he uses to tickle victims to death, all while grinning from ear to ear. Luckily for the Inuit, the Mahaha is easily fooled. According to Inuit oral tradition, the Mahaha can be defeated by offering it a drink of water and pushing it into a river, where it will be swept away by strong ocean currents. Number 8. Tarungak. Turngate are rarely seen, but they are responsible for much activity, both evil and benevolent. While they have been known to invite unsuspecting people to their caves in mountains and cliffs to trap and eat them, these beings can also come in handy when summoned by powerful shamans in times of need. Turngate are a species of shapeshifter and can take on a multitude of forms. Some are only visible to the shaman who summoned them, while others take on an almost demonic appearance with bared teeth, horns, and long claws, and others are unassuming and harmless seeming, a tactic that helps lure people back to their homes. The Torngat Mountains in Nunavik and Nunatsiavut get their name because they are said to be the home of these spirits. Number 9. Inukpasugjuit. These giants that tower above humans have traveled and left their mark in the Arctic. Their traces are still visible on Earth. Some malevolent giants, others gentle, have been the subject of many stories told and works of art made by Inuit. There are stories of giants who were so big they would mistake polar bears for foxes and whales for seals. It was said that a famous giant could walk across mountains in one step and then adopted a human son to help him remove lice as big as rats. Some say that giants sleep for hundreds of years and that if you see a mountain on featureless terrain, it may be a fast-sleeping giant. Number 10. Tunit. Tunit is a legendary breed from Inuit mythology. According to legend, they were the first inhabitants of their land and are described as tall people, taller and stronger than the Inuit, with the musculature of a polar bear. Legends say that a single Tunit man could carry a seal weighing over 500 kilograms on his back and drag an entire walrus. But they are easily frightened and extremely shy. Other stories suggest that the Tunit slept with their legs in the air to drain the blood from their feet, so they could outrun caribou. Despite being larger and stronger than the Inuit, the Tunit were very timid and actually afraid of them. In fact, they allowed the Inuit to take over the best hunting grounds without a fight, and according to oral tradition, disappeared shortly after the Inuit reached the Arctic. What is particularly fascinating about the Tunit is that, unlike most folklore, they really did exist. According to a 2014 paleogenomic study, DNA analysis found that 169 ancient human specimens from across the Arctic were part of a culture known as Dorsett. Dorsett thrived in the Arctic for at least 4,000 years before disappearing a couple of generations after the arrival of the Inuit in 1200 AD. What is fascinating is that the Dorsetts match the description of the Tunit, and their disappearance aligns perfectly with Inuit oral tradition. This is one of those great stories where mythology turns out to be more fact than fiction. While the Tunit were probably not as strong as a polar bear, they did exist. Number 11. Tamatuyuk. Tamatuyuk is a scary vampire. This creature takes human form to gain the trust of a baby and then kills it by piercing its head with a needle or straw and then sucking its blood. Sometimes he can win the mother's trust, but when she's left alone with him, she takes him back to her lair and sucks his blood. Number 12. Sedna. Sedna is the goddess of the sea and marine animals in Inuit mythology, also known as the mother of the sea or mistress of the sea. Sedna's story, which is a creation myth, describes how she came to rule Adlet, the Inuit underworld. There is more than one version of the Sedna legend. In a legend, Sedna is a giant, the daughter of the creator god Angada, with a great hunger that leads her to attack her parents. Angry at her, Angada takes her to the sea and throws her over the side of her kayak. As she clings to her sides, he cuts off her fingers and she plunges into the underworld, becoming the ruler of the monsters of the deep. Her huge fingers turn into seals, walruses, and whales hunted by the Inuit. Arnaquagsak is the Greenlandic version of the sea goddess Sedna in Inuit mythology. Arnaquagsak translates as Old Woman of the Sea. Number 13. Kikirin. Kikirin, Chikion, or Kilut is a hairless dog spirit from Inuit mythology. He is described as a large canine and completely naked except for fur on his paws. This creature is known to terrify Inuit, but it can also be easily scared if people call out its name. This creature silently follows travelers at night. When he is alone and far from home, the traveler is attacked by this ugly hound and kills him. Number 14. Palrawuk. Palrawuk or Tijaruke is a sea monster described as a kind of large snake-like creature that lurks in the waters off the Alaskan coast and terrorizes the locals. This creature has a variety of strange features. For example, it has 3 pairs of legs that end in mammalian feet, 2 heads that resemble those of a fox, short horns, 3 stomachs, thick fur, a long tongue, a tail that resembles that of a fish or a dolphin's tail, and a jagged ridge running the length of its back, complete with a trio of dorsal fins. The Palrawuk not only has a strange appearance, but also has strange hunting habits. It is said to be carnivorous, and likes to lift the front 7 or 8 feet of its heavy body out of the water only to crash into the kayaks many of the natives use. For many Inuit, this creature is part of their nightmares. Number 15. Amarok. Amarok is the name of a gigantic gray wolf in Inuit mythology. It is a fierce and fearsome creature. It is said to hunt and devour anyone foolish enough to hunt alone at night and the unwary who have strayed too far from their village. Unlike Adlet that we will see next and the real wolves that hunt in packs, Amarok is a solitary hunter. Number 16. Adlet. The Adlet are a type of wolf-like creature that is based on Inuit mythology. A woman and a giant dog are believed to have been responsible for the birth of Adlet and his future progeny. According to the myth, a woman gave birth to 10 children. 5 were dogs, and 5 were Adlet. The Adlet are said to be half wolf and half man, which is a striking difference from the familiar werewolf. They are known to run quickly and often come into conflict with the man. They roam the tundra in herds, seeking out Inuit villages to feed on. In Inuit lore, although they are depicted as being taller than humans and cannibalistic, they eventually end up losing most battles or conflicts with man. Before seeing the last one on the list, remember to give it a thumbs up, comment what you think, and feel free to suggest more topics for future videos. Number 17. Angada. Angada is the god of the dead in Inuit mythology. Known as the Father, he brings the souls of the departed to the frigid Adlevun, the underworld. Angada is the biological father of the sea goddess Sedna. Angada is considered the creator god and is the supreme being among the Inuit. Although in other myths, Angada is simply a mortal widower.